Welcome to Boys Town's micro lesson on building relationships. We know that when we connect with our students, they tend to perform better. Today we'll talk about the science behind building relationships and how it affects the brain, as well as identify specific strategies that will help us build those relationships. So why do student-teacher relationships matter? We aren't the only ones that wonder what effect our relationship with our students has on their learning. Sarah D. Sparks, a reporter and data journalist for Education Week, learns why. In her research on learning and the brain, she reviewed 46 different educational studies where she found that strong student-teacher relationships were associated with improvements on practically every measure schools care about, including higher academic engagement, attendance, grades, fewer disruptive behaviors and suspensions, as well as lower dropout rate. In addition to improvements for students and the school, the European Journal of Psychology of Education found that teacher-student relationships is the best predictor of how much the teacher experienced joy versus anxiety in class. We all perform better when we are motivated. So let's talk about the brain science on how positive relationships are built on positive interactions. Every interaction has an effect on the brain. When we are authentically praised, we have a positive interaction and the brain releases dopamine, which creates a cycle. Each positive feedback received releases dopamine. When we feel good, we are more motivated and spend more time and attention on a skill or task. This is, again, a positive interaction that releases more dopamine. But why is dopamine important? Dopamine is a chemical in the brain that controls reward-motivated behavior. In addition to creating motivation to learn, dopamine actually controls learning retention. In short, dopamine equals engagement and retention. So how do we initiate the cycle of dopamine release to initiate and maintain motivations and learning retention? We need to provide positive feedback to maintain the dopamine cycle. We recommend at least 4 praise statements per each correction. At Boys Town, we have identified 3 types of praise. First, there is general praise, which we tend to use most often. These are verbal and nonverbal cues that indicate good behavior. For nonverbal praise, we might give a thumbs up, a high five, or a pat on the back. Verbal examples might be, way to go, good job, well done. The second type of praise is specific praise. Specific praise combines a general praise statement with a specific description of the behavior being praised. For example, way to go, you completed all your tasks. Or, super job cooperating with your group. As you can see, specific praise builds on general praise by providing a student with more information about what exactly was done well. The more information we can provide the student, the more likely they will know exactly what to do in the future. The final type of praise is referred to as effective praise. Effective praise is a structured method for praising that combines specific and general praise and adds a reason to reinforce the behavior. For example, Jordan, you did a fantastic job of following instructions by getting to work right away. When you follow instructions like that, you're more likely to get your work done in class and not have to take it home for homework. Keep praising your students and keep the dopamine cycle going. Another way to build relationships with students is to create safe spaces for learning. How do we make our students feel safe? The brain science says we need to trigger a release of oxytocin. Why oxytocin? What does it do? Oxytocin is a chemical messenger, and it plays a role in human behaviors that include recognition, trust, and it helps us to bond with other people. These bonds create a feeling often referred to as psychological safety. When students feel safe, they're more likely to take risks in the classroom, both academically and behaviorally. So how do we build psychological safety for students? Acknowledge their efforts rather than their outcomes. You can do this through praise or empathy. Try reassuring students that you know some skills are harder than others. Or if they're practicing a new skill and don't quite get it right, identify the steps that were correct. Let them know that it's okay to fail or make mistakes, as that's how we learn. Modeling how we respond to our own failures can be a powerful lesson as well. Positive relationships build new pathways for learning. Tapping into students' background knowledge will help them learn new information by activating neural pathways in their brains. Developing new pathways takes time, work, and a lot of repetition. It makes sense to get a jump start by tapping information that already exists. How do we do this? As we continue to build relationships with our students, we learn more about their background knowledge and can use it to individualize instruction by connecting to and building on what they already know. Positive relationships improve student behavior. Research supports the idea that early relationships and interactions, including those with teachers, play a role in shaping behaviors and social skills. One way to improve student behavior is to use modeling and proactive teaching. Proactive teaching allows teachers to teach to positive behaviors at neutral times in order to set students up for success. Proactive teaching provides learning opportunities so that students understand and practice those positive options prior to needing them. Proactive teaching can be used for rules, expectations, and procedures as well as social skills. When teaching proactively, it is important to state what the desired appropriate behavior is. Give the students a reason why it's important to display the appropriate behavior, and provide the students an opportunity to practice. Anytime a teacher can show they want to help students navigate difficult situations, it helps build positive relationships. Proactively teaching rules, expectations, procedures, and social skills is another important element in relationship building. Remember, our students are always watching. Prepare them by using proactive teaching. Proactive teaching provides instruction on procedures and expectations. When students have consistency in expectations, they feel safer and have greater confidence. Let's do a quick review of what we have discussed. Strong student-teacher relationships can result in higher academic engagement, better attendance, higher grades, fewer disruptive behaviors and suspensions, and lower dropout rates, as well as establish a better experience for the teacher. We start with building better social interactions. We know that positive social interactions cause dopamine and oxytocin to be released in the brain, which helps us to create new neural connections, motivates us, helps us bond socially, and makes us feel good. Things we can do with our students to make all these things happen are: provide positive feedback on an average of at least 4 to 1. Less skilled students will need more frequent positives to increase motivation to change, so it's okay to increase that from 4 to 1 to as much as 10 to 1. Provide 3 types of praise: general, specific, and effective. Create a safe space for learning by using praise and empathy. Create new pathways to knowledge by getting to know your students to build on their prior knowledge. Learn about student experiences and reference them during lessons to help students make connections to their learning and build your relationship with them. Proactively teach exactly what your expectations look and sound like. Provide students reasons and make sure they practice before a situation arrives in which they will use the appropriate behaviors. Additional actions that build relationships are greeting students at the door, calling on students randomly and equitably, displaying student work, using positive body language, setting clear expectations, be consistent in enforcing expectations, and praise when students meet expectations and address it when they don't. For more ideas, lesson plans, and other resources, check out the National Training website.